Hello and welcome everyone. This is week 2 of the Collegiate Chess League's fall 2025 season. My name is Joe and this is Division 1. We've got University of Virginia versus Lviv State. This is a strong matchup. Both teams, I believe, looking for their first win of the season. Virginia is the number 8 seed, and I believe Lviv is the number 6 seed, so very much a winnable match for both of these teams. We're waiting a few minutes before they get started here, but I might as well introduce you to some of the players. Virginia, they're no strangers to Division 1. They've been led in the past by their captain and board 1, Jason Moorfield, who is also known online as Chessically Inclined. Now, that being said, he's actually the third highest rated player on his team today. So he's only board 4. Their board 1 is actually Owen McCoy, who is a national master. And they've added some reinforcements this year. They have a new international master named Joseph Levine. So they've definitely improved, and yet they remain as the 8th seed. They were the 8th seed last year. They also have their board 4 Yogi, last name Yehemandran. Gonna have to work on that a little bit. But yeah, Lviv State, they've been around before as well. Their top board, they've got Martin Kravstev, they've got Daniel Mosisov, Vladislav Vishuk, and Stanislav Bondarenko. So they're from Lviv State, strong players. What's up, Benjamin Bach? Good to see you. Shout out to Grandmaster Benjamin Bach. And it looks like we actually have some games starting here. So let's tune in and check them out. All right, so it looks like we've got Jason Moorfield here versus Daniel Mosisov. Shout out to Benjamin Bach, probably one of the most famous Collegiate Chess League alum that we have. Famous streamer from the Netherlands who went to St. Louis University, of course. One of the most decorated champions of the Collegiate Chess League, and also a commentator. Hope he's doing well. We'll miss you in the commentary booth, Ben. If you ever want to come back, maybe watch some SLU games. We watched SLU in the season opener, the debut last week, laying down the hammer against Texas Tech, who have joined the CCL for the first time in a very long time in Division 1. And yeah, they have no Bach and they have no Robbie Kevlishvili. Their new captain, Steve, also known as Tianqi Wang, has big shoes to fill for sure. And no Nico Theodoro, yes. Every year, the SLU team just has legends that have to graduate eventually, unfortunately, for the SLU team. But the good news is, with their prestige, they've been able to maintain some pretty decent players on the roster. They've been recruiting. Shout out to their coach, Vara Kobian. Also know that they've got Darius Swiertz helping out as an assistant coach. So yeah, SLU looking to defend their title. But, you know, we watched Mizzou yesterday beat Texas Tech by an even larger score, and Mizzou is the number 1 seed by rating, led by their top board, Grandmaster Aryan Tari, who we interviewed yesterday after their match, and Aryan says that they are the favorite to win. So Mizzou won the year prior. It went SLU, Mizzou, back to SLU. And now Mizzou's looking to get their chance, but they've got to make it to the playoffs and then win Same as all of these teams who are fighting for playoff spots right now. Currently, we're only in week 2, so there's a lot of chess left in the season. That sounds great, Ben. Would love to have you. I'm loving White's position here. FIDE Master Jason Moorfield, who we've seen in the past take down some very top level grandmasters even in Division 1. He is 2778, which honestly might be low for him. But he's taking on an international master from Ukraine, Daniil Mosasov, and this king is uncastled. Jason is castled, pawn takes, and it looks like there's going to be a problem. The computer just loved immediately queen f6, right? Just hitting the rook. The only move is to move here, and then maybe bishop here. Queen f6 still a fantastic move. I mean, you're threatening mate in 1, as well as a free rook. I mean, say less, as they say. What more could you ask for? Why this move isn't just being played automatically is beyond me. Let me increase my number of lines real quick. Okay, hold on. I might also have some more games to follow. So let me check in on some of the other players. Okay, Jason decides not to play Queen f6, almost surprisingly. Yeah, this is the Collegiate Chess League. This is week 2 of the regular season. Here, yeah, I mean, why did we ever do this, truly? What were we worried about? Okay, there was knight d5, I guess. Knight takes, bishop takes. We take on h8. And then they crash through here maybe, but now we got to sack our exchange actually. Well, we'll see what Jason ends up doing. Does he sack here? Yeah. Yeah, the position is more complicated than the computer makes it seem, because black is getting some serious counterplay against white's king. So it's not so black and white. Anyways, in this position, your queen is hit and your a2 pawn is hit. So yeah, Jason sacks the exchange here. And now, again, this isn't so clear because you're not actually threatening the mate anymore now that this knight has moved. The queen is guarding d8. So you also have to be aware black has this queen e1 check. So the best move in the position was to actually allow the check and bringing the bishop back. If bishop here, then we play knight to e2. Meanwhile, this is hanging. But Jason decided to focus on his piece development. And yeah, he's down an exchange and a pawn. So very, very peculiar position. Black is still not through the worst of it, it seems. The king is still stuck in the middle. But yeah, bringing the rook, trying to get as much development as possible. Didn't give this check. Perhaps worried about a possible bishop c4 discovery on the queen with the rook, and then lining up a checkmate on f7. Hey Jordan, good to see you. Okay, so there's a check, but with the knight on c6, e7 is defended. We could see the bishop develop, but no, king decides to move, so no more castling. The knight moves, perhaps looking for d5. Bishop develops with the punch at the knight. Rook e8 was a huge move, actually, for black, but that was not played. There's a check, but there's a pawn block, so that's annoying. Queen goes to d5, going after the f7 pawn. This knight could be taken, but you probably don't want to give up this check because that would be pretty close to checkmate. There is a knight block, which frees up a square for the king, but it does come at the price of that knight. So you might want to play a defensive move here for black, or maybe an aggressive move here, trying to get at this back rank. Probably should have done the move prior. Jason down to 47 seconds. Let's check in on some of the other games. This is Virginia's board 4. Chess Yogi Man, who's coming in from the B team, actually. He's subbing up. So this is not the strongest roster that Virginia has, unfortunately. For them, at least. Maybe fortunately for Lviv. That being said, I think Virginia is actually even missing a player, which is even more unfortunate for them, which is very fortunate for Lviv. So in this position, looks like we've got Case. This is Martin Krovsteve. He is the top board, one of the best players in the entire league, over 3,000 blitz rating, and he's playing against the board 4 here in round 1. 2.5 minutes for Martin, and only 20 seconds for Yogi. So Martin's loving the position, loving the time advantage. And we also have a result, actually. Clyde Hill Kid. That is Joseph Levine, the new player for Virginia. Unfortunately, we missed his game. But he gets a point on the board. We'll have to take a look at that game in just a moment. Down to 7 seconds here, Yogi. His rook is hit and moves. Yeah, black has a strong advantage here against the white king. We've got a rook. The king's kind of facing off at each other. This knight here just taking away some huge squares from this king. And there we see king on the run, opening up the knight, or the rook, threatening a knight move with discovery. However, the bishop comes trying to block the g-file, and now black says, I want to make space maybe for my other pieces. Trying to remove these defenders. White's bringing in the pieces, swarming at the aid of the white king, trying to make sure everything's held together. He's kind of keeping it together by duct tape, essentially, just barely able to hold things together. This bishop just trying to fight for air. This rook is going to be joining the equation. This queen... Yeah, the bishop would love to just teleport here. 2 seconds, 1 second. The queen's trapped. Queen steps up, trying to find space on the diagonal. The rook enters now. Queen has to leave, but Yogi's going to flag. And now we're going to go back to chessically inclined here. Both players in a time scramble. 10 seconds or less for both sides. Daniil Matsev, or sorry, not Matsev, Mosasev. He finds a check. He finds another check. The king is on the run. Jason, he's getting his position swarmed by the black pieces. This did not go well for Jason. Let's get a point on the board for Mr. Krovsteve. Martin there. We see a queen trade, and this knight is just pinned. 2 seconds, 1 second for Jason. He's got no defense. So what ended up going wrong? Yeah, Jason missed a very timely queen f6, which he could have played here, and he could have played here. But both opportunities missed. He trades. He has to give up the exchange here. The computer still likes white a lot, but he has to take on d5, but was perhaps worried about this back rank check. So he missed out on that opportunity. And then it seems that black was able to find some safety. This was not the move needed. He needed knight d3. You need to bring the knight back. So here, queen to b4, threatening mate. Bishop c1 was needed here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He didn't find that. And yeah, this battery is just unbeatable. So difficult. All right, and then let's try to look at this Joseph game. So Jason loses to Daniel. So that's a 2-1 lead, and probably we get a point for Stanislav because Owen is late. So the 1 point Virginia did get is from their newest player, Joseph, taking down a FIDE master from Ukraine. Looks like we have a French defense here. Wow, look at this. There's going to be a fork of some sort, right? So nice tactic here from Joseph. And yeah, just great French defense here from Black. That was a quick win, actually. This is a great move. B5, a blunder. Knight takes D4, and then just the tactics unwind. Black already having been castled, white having not been castled, and that's what allows for all of the tactics. Here, this pawn falls. If you take here, you're going to go uncastled. And just like that, we have game 2 underway now. All right. Yeah, maybe we stick with this this Virginia top board international master 2800. Only point so far for Virginia. Now playing against the board. Wait, did I get it wrong? Oh yeah. This isn't the board 1 for Virginia. This is board 2. Board 1 is missing, unfortunately. What's up, Subum? My fellow GCL contender, as well as CCL player and captain. All right, well, let me make sure I'm following all of the players. You're playing in 30 minutes. Nice. Stranger, thanks for the follow. How many matches today? That's a great question. Hi, Jenny. We have at least 2 that I know of. Maybe I'll watch the Arizona State match, although it'll be a little scuffed or late. But yeah, I don't have another one immediately following this. Let's see. I do have an idea. There's going to be another match at, it seems, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So that's in like 3 hours. So I'll need to find something to kill the time between now and then. So maybe I'll watch the end of the Arizona State match and then grab something to eat, and then I'll be back probably. But yeah, maybe some lower div matches. We'll see. But okay. Anyways, this is the board 4 from Ukraine, who had a forfeit win. I think it might be Subum. That might be like Horseshoe Bend. I've never been personally. That just came with the room. But okay, there's this game here between Jason and Martin that I think is going to be pretty big. Jason, I know, loves to play against the Grandmasters. Even though Virginia never really fares well in the long run in Division 1, I think they really enjoy it. I think they like the pressure. They like the stage. They like being at the top division. And Jason's got the black pieces here. It looks like he can't castle kingside because of this bishop. So he castles queenside, same as Martin. is Virginia's board one sleeping? I think they might be, actually. That's probably the best guess that we have so far. He's been unresponsive, unfortunately. So yeah, and what makes it even more unfortunate is that it is a rescheduled match, and it's also the afternoon in Eastern time. So yeah, and also if you're missing any player, especially early in the match, which is typically when you would be missing a player, you would want it to be a lower rated player. Typically your board 4. Not your board 1. Board 1 would be the worst player to be missing because in the early rounds you have the biggest mismatches. Board 1 plays against board 4. So a board 4 missing against a board 1, you'd expect maybe the board 4 would lose that game anyways. However, a board 1 losing to a board 4 is kind of an upset. So it just makes things even worse for Virginia, unfortunately. Did I watch India versus USA? Yeah, I watched just briefly, a little bit, but it was very fun, very exciting. And I heard the good news, USA won. So shout out to USA. Although I think India probably should get a rematch or something. But okay, here we have an interesting trade. Queen takes, and very importantly, the bishop needs to trade with check first. And now I think rook takes here will be probably the best move, as it's going to double isolate these pawns. And this opens up the rook with the tempo on the knight, so there's no time to take this pawn that is currently hanging because the knight was hanging. So king steps up in the aid of the knight, and now this pawn perhaps could use some attendance here. So Jason finds himself up some amount of material, but a rough pawn structure for black, right? You could see a lot of these pawns are kind of hanging in no man's land. So we're not through the end of it just yet. We see Jason just trying to solidify this pawn chain as much as he can. This is technically a passed pawn, and this pawn can also be supported. So Jason's giving up. He had to give up one of the two pawns. He decided to give up the double isolated pawn, but white doesn't even take it. White says, no, I think your center pawns are probably more valuable to me, more interesting. So I'm going to develop my last piece, putting it into the center, and attack the e5 pawn. Now here, these pieces are very out of play, unfortunately. So yeah, we see the knight come back to defend, and now the knight gets pinned by the bishop. I love that in my simple mind, I'm thinking, oh, take the pawn now. Put pressure on the knight, right? You're threatening to win this. But no. You go for the pen, not the pawn, because you want to take this pawn. And so now Jason decides to finally capture on g3, and the computer actually preferred the move knight to e4. And just the idea is to go after the pinned piece, which would have been pretty brutal. Surprisingly allowing that. So yeah, we see white manages to get rid of these central pawns from Jason, and winning a pawn back and maintaining this weak doubled pawn. And this bishop is going to struggle to get into the game against the structure. So we see the bishop tucking back. This also helps against certain back rank checks. This rook is going to have to get out of the way, and then the bishop can relocate to a new home. So yeah, interesting for sure. King is probably going to step up here. Knight here is going to threaten this fork. So that's actually really annoying. So instead the rook goes here. Yeah, knight's stepping in anyways. And I mean, you might have to give up a pawn just to get the king here. This threatens like a perpetual, basically. I think white might be going for more. Yeah, now this pawn is put to a halt. Yeah, white's just putting a cramp on black. Black does not have a lot of moves. So yeah, trying to give up this pawn and then move this pawn. The king wants to come to c7. The problem with going to c7 though is but you're not forked anymore. So that's good. Knight e6 played. Computer like knight e4. So the king is now liberated, and when the king can move, the bishop can move. So here we have a punch against the knight. Knight should go. Knight comes back, and now the king should move, in my opinion. Although I guess this pawn is hanging now. So the pawn should push, maybe. So the king should definitely not move. King moving would be a blunder. Also, you could play c5. Could be an idea. Yep, c5 is played. So now Martin has to move the knight again. Hey, Lance, good to see you. Yeah, dude, we should. Okay, so now this pawn is hanging. And the problem is you can't move the pawn. You can't save the pawn, actually, at all in your pen. So that is perhaps a bit unfortunate. So the rook moves, and I mean, I guess you could take... This is a weird place to put the rook. If you went here, I guess there was knight take. Wait, there's no knight takes. Sorry. Yeah, this maybe would have been a move. Oh, no, I still don't understand, but okay. I guess the rook wanted to go after this pawn was the idea. Let me check in on the other games real quick. Here we've got Danielle trying to bring the queen in, but looks like it might be a little difficult. Maybe like rook lift. You could have this. Maybe bring the rook over. Maybe this h pawn gets moving. Okay, the rook says I'd rather be on the 7th, which is also logical. Let's check back in with Joseph. Ooh, trade here, and this is a winning position for white. So Joseph with only 7 seconds. Looks like they're going to go 2 for 2. Yeah, this pawn is doing a great job of holding back black's pawn. So black has no passed pawns. White can make a passed pawn, and they're going to zugzwang black is the problem. So that being said, can you play... I guess you can't do this because takes and this pawn runs. So yeah, as soon as the king starts moving, white's coming in now. So yeah, Joseph keeping Virginia in it. So very, very exciting, very cool to have a strong player joining the team for Virginia. Yeah, we see this capture now. And now if this capture, this pawn will push. Or yeah, taking is free as well. Now you take this, you take that, and you push that. And yeah, here you just trade off black's last pawn. And there you go. Queen on the board. And you can make a second one if you want. Or your opponent can resign. That works as well. Let's check in on Jason. Jason's doing his work against the Grandmaster. So let's see here. Oh, that's actually not true. I lied. Jason's losing. Jason's losing. But let's give Joseph his point. Sorry, I'm just so used to looking at things from the white perspective. Okay, Owen has joined the battle. Owen just started his game in round 2, it seems. A little late, but I I guess they started their match a little late. So yeah, 2-pawn advantage here for white. Let's check in with Danielle's game. I think Jason probably won't be able to hold that. So this pawn will hang if we go here. Queen steps back. I'm surprised we've never tried for like h5, but okay. Rook hits the queen. Queen trade offered, declined. Black grabs a pawn, and now that a pawn is passed. Low time for both sides. That's a fork? No. Oh, but it does blunder the f2 pawn. But then that pawn falls. Now there's a check. This is a mate threat. You have to go here. Or here, but that would have been super passive. And yeah, now the a pawn is running. Now you play h5. Takes. I'm surprised. Rook check. This is winning for white. Threatening more checks. Rook g8 check. King on the run. Queen check. You're going to have more and more checks as this king continues to run. Rook check. It's mate, actually. Wow. Beautiful mate found there by Danielle. So point for Danielle. Now 2 for 2. And I guess we've got... okay, draw agreed by Galileo and Honey. So I don't know. I was going to say maybe Galileo is going to forfeit round 2 as well. Here we see Martin putting up as much resistance as he can, hoping for... There was a potential stalemate, actually. Rook check, king in the corner, and then you could have a rogue rook situation where the rook just checks the king to smithereens. So, yeah, going to need to find a way to break through here as white. Going after this pawn, but you don't want to get mated because the king's covering O, and this pawn's going to push through. Yeah, here you're going to threaten the skewer, but you can't trade. So you come back. Okay, trying to force the rooks off this way. That's a nice way to do things, I think. But, okay. Yeah, he's pushing now, and there you have resignation. So the Grandmaster, Martin, gets his second point. And now I'm going to figure out... Yeah, okay, so Galileo and Honey are playing, actually. So they're a little late. And when I say they're a little late, I really mean Owen is a little late. Cleveland loses. Is that NFL? I don't know. The Browns, I guess, are, but I know baseball playoffs just started, so anyway, yeah, NFL has also started. I think NHL should start on like Tuesday. So I'm very much looking forward to that in 2 days. Very exciting times. But yeah, they're playing now. So I don't know if they can even move on to the next round. So Owen lost round 1 by forfeit. Can he make it up to his team? Looks like he's in time for round 2. Knight looks like it belongs on e4, but the bishop's going to come back and make way for the f-pawn. So maybe the knight wants to go to d5. Ah, okay. Maybe still knight d5. Maybe knight b5 actually. Yeah, look at that. So probably castles. Knight c7. You're gonna get this light squared bishop, which will be nice, and that's gonna double isolate the e pawns. So nice moves here from white. Knight c7 is a great move here. Black probably just wants to contest the d file. We're gonna take this, double isolate the e pawns, and white's gonna have a pleasant position to play. Although white is down a pawn, actually. There's a 3-on-2 majority on the queen side for black. But these isolated e-pawns gives white something to work with here, to play against. So we see the move e3 that's aiming at keeping this knight out of the d4 square. Also just protecting this pawn. We see a pawn push. And yeah, the rooks are just kind of staring at each other. As white, you don't really want to trade because you want this rook to be able to come in without inviting that rook. So we see rook to c1, pressure on that c pawn that just pushed. b5 protecting the c pawn, and now knight to c3 hitting b5. So that's also a discovery, by the way, on the knight. I just noticed. So a nice move here from white, should be picking up some material, actually. So b5 wasn't a good move because now it's going to be taken. Maybe there was a better move here, or the computer is saying it is the best move, actually. I was wondering if we could play knight a5 to prevent this tactic. So here knight a5 is now played. Knight takes b5, free pawn. Knight's guarding this pawn now. So yeah, maybe knight a5 was better. The computer likes this for whatever reason. Not sure why. But yeah, now material is even, except white has the better pawn structure. However, maybe now I can really appreciate the reasoning here. Black now has a chance to pick up some more material. So this pawn was hanging. This pawn was hanging. We see the pawns are traded off here. And now maybe rook c7 can be a move. This attacks the bishop. This attacks the pawn. Bishop moves, and now the computer likes the move. Bishop to h3. Ooh. Going after that weakness there. Okay, attacking the knight instead. And yeah, white should be getting this pawn advantage back. Takes on a7 now. Actually, yeah, I just realized this comes with a fork. It's not only a check and a free pawn, but okay. Yeah, Owen didn't go for that just yet. I think all the players are watching this game, which is kind of funny, but all right, the rook on f1 is hit by the knight, so the rook should move, I suspect. Where to? Okay. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. There's a tactic here. Boom. Black finds it. Rook takes f2, and this knight is now protected twice. Rook's doubled up. Any knight move is going to be very, very scary because two rooks on the second. This is a winning combination for sure. We could see the knight going to a lot of scary places here. So you kind of have to take this and just let the fork happen, basically. So otherwise, what else could you do? You can give rook c8 check. And then the rook just leaves. So you just lost your f-pawn. Here and now, oh my goodness. I don't know. Yeah, rook takes g2. Same idea. So you're forced to take that that rook anyways. But that rook gets that bishop out of it as well. Okay, pawn check. King is forced up the board. Bishop saves itself. Knight now circling in like a shark. This king is in murky waters here. So, yeah. Owen, he shows up late, but it doesn't make a difference. He loses anyway. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's pretty brutal. I'm sorry, Owen. I'm sure the team is happy that you showed up though. And he's still warming up, you know. He's waking up, warming up. Ukraine, they've got the time zone advantage. It's like already midday for them, you know. They've been warmed up. They've been awake. Anyways, we're very close to finding a mate. So let's see if black can construct something here. Rook h2 looks pretty good to me. That's one strong move. Probably you'll see this pawn push. Knight looking for this check. Maybe rook here. Oh, I love rook g2. Okay, didn't find that, but that's okay. Again, rook g2. Just a beautiful move. Yeah, it is evening. Yeah, if this bishop was like a rook, this would be a fun mate. But it's not a rook. It's a bishop. So it can block, which is good for white or black. Anyways, no, this game's over. I mean, okay. Yeah, it's all about how you want to win, you know? There's so many ways. I'd still go rook. Okay, but so that's, I mean, you could win this piece, but or you cannot win the piece. I don't know. I don't think it matters much. I wish the other players could get their game started if they wanted to, maybe, before waiting for this match to finish. Extremely anonymous or anonymous user. No, that is anonymous. User 1. Hello. Welcome. Yeah, Owen has less than a minute now before it's all over. Are you the only one? No. There's also me. And there's also a few other people. And together, we're all here watching these two teams play in the Division 1 of the Collegiate Chess League. And this match was supposed to start an hour ago. And we're just now finishing round 2. So a bit of a delayed start. Probably because of yeah, you have to take this pawn now. So now we're down a knight, a bishop, and a pawn. However, white says, I'm going to take your g-pawn, and I'm going to try to queen my g-pawn. However, there's a problem. Yeah, either of these rooks, you cannot take this pawn as you're going to get mated, so you have to go to g4. Go to g4 now while you can. And there he goes. And now it takes with check. Yeah, if he had played like rook g2 just a year ago, he could have constructed something, but okay. Now we see a path here. Wow, wait, was there rook takes? Not really, no. Now it's takes with check is the problem. I guess there could have been this move. This guy's just gonna queen this guy. All right, 5 seconds. Rook stepping down, hitting the bishop, trying to queen, but of course just bishop to e7. He's trying to trade rooks here. There's a world where we blunder this pawn and we trade rooks, and then black has to mate with bishop and knight. Imagine that. But the reality that we live in, perhaps that won't be necessary. It's very likely that this pawn will not be blundered and the rook will not be traded, and black will construct a mating net. So yeah, if you go here, there's this fork. And if you go here, there's this. Oh, actually, that would have been the rook and pawn trade. But of course, black doesn't do that. They give the check first, which is really smart, because now you don't trade your rook and you don't lose your pawn. You win a rook and you queen your pawn. So that is really a good conversion there. Just making sure you're using your pieces. Although I would have loved to have seen the bishop and knight mate from the FIDE master, but why make things so difficult? And yeah, Owen resigning here instead of hoping for stalemate. So that's fun. Anyways, it was a mate in 2. What time format? It's a 5+2 blitz. It's 4 versus 4 team match. We've got USA versus Ukraine, basically. But it's really University of Virginia versus Lviv State. So it's 2 university teams. And yeah, this is week 2 of the regular season of the Collegiate Chess League's Fall 2025 season. There are 7 total weeks in the regular season, and then there will be playoffs. And here we go, round 3 now underway. Let's make sure to give Honey his point, his first point of the match. So the score is 2-6 right now. Only points from Virginia are coming from their board 2. Joseph Levine, international master, newcomer on the team, making his broadcast debut. All right, and now we move on to round 3. Here is Virginia's point getter, their international master, Joseph, playing against the top board, Martin. So it's board 2 versus board 1. Or not board 1, really. It's board 1 versus board 2. I guess I had it right, just in the wrong order. In my mind, I was thinking of Joseph as the board 1, but he's been leading the team in points, but not in rating. So we'll see. So yeah, Jason now up against the board 4. Jason has lost both games so far against the top 2 boards from Lviv. Not the start that he's hoped for, or that he really expects to have for himself. I know he's got high expectations of success. But yeah, let's see how he does now against the board 4. This is perhaps his best opportunity to get points on the board. Stanislav Bondarenko. 2,500. And yeah, Jason, he's just playing c5, damaging perhaps the structure, especially if black takes, so probably black won't take. Black bringing a rook into the center. White doubling on the c-file. Looking to enter the 7th rank. So threatening to trade on c6. Or sorry, c5 to b6. and then putting a queen on c7. Okay, really just trying to open up everything. We see f5, trying to take advantage of this pin on the bishop. So we see the bishop tucking back. This frees up this pawn. It also just keeps a prophylactic eye on the pawn on g2 here. In fact, bishop takes g2 is a threat. Why, might you ask? Well, if we take that bishop, then the knight's going to come in for a not-so-friendly check. So the bishop is doing two jobs at once, typically meaning that it's overloaded. That being said, though, there could have potentially been an idea. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop. Maybe we have something like this. I don't know. Maybe not, but okay. Anyways, we don't even have to worry about e2 now. So the rook is there, joining with a tempo, mind you. And now black could take on c5, and they do. We trade queens, pawn takes, and now rook e7. Getting to the 7th, but the knight coming back, not only hitting the rook, but also hitting the defense of the c-pawn. So the rook leaves the 7th, attacks this knight, and black just contesting the file. White saying, all right, since you've taken on c5 now, I'm going to try to get those pawns back. So even though black is up a pawn, the structure has been damaged, so white should be able to get that back fairly easily with some activity as well. And that's why Jason's doing better here. Jason's also up over 30 seconds, which is pretty good. Let's check in on yeah, what just happened here? We see this trade, rook coming in now, hitting the bishop. And now that pawn is defended, but this pawn is not. That being said, we can attack the knight first. And now we should be able to pick up one of these two. Unless you go here, which I suspect you don't want to do, if I had to guess. So, yeah. Knight goes here. We can pick this up now. Yeah, if you went to the corner, there's like rook b1. You've got some problems. So, anyways. Material has been evened up. And now the question is if white can push this pawn home. So I'm looking at already just playing a6, right? Defended by the bishop. Bishop's going to have to move, which it does already. It's guarding the b1 square, but the problem is you've got a weak back rank. And if this knight ever moves, well, this pawn's going to be dropping as well. So I suspect rook e1 is a great move. Okay, putting pressure on the knight first and foremost. Bishop moves. Now this bishop is hit. And yeah, not a lot of great squares. The bishop cannot go here, here, here. So it has to go somewhere to one of these three squares, and they're all pretty bad. Here you can have this hit, and then you only have these three squares. The problem with the back rank is the rook can always attack the back rank, and it would also then come with a fork. So the next thing you have to think about is how to guard your back rank. And what else? I guess there's bishop here. And no. So now I'm looking at a rook move. Also, like, you could just attack this pawn, right? I imagine that's pretty good. Because when this pawn falls, this pawn promotes. That's pretty much the gist of it. So, not even going for the back rank. Yeah, this is a discovery, but that's also a free pawn, which we can take with the tempo. So, you could take it either way, but you want to take it the most aggressive way. Right? And there you have it. So, chessically inclined, looking to get their first point. So that's a hit. That's a hit. So rook saves itself and the bishop. Love a good 2-for-1. You could also have perhaps considered going to d4. Although I guess it's not a back rank, so never mind. Okay. Yeah, knight hits the rook. Rook moves. Knight hits the bishop. So now I'm expecting the bishop to move. Bishop comes all the way home. Keeping an eye on the e2 square as well and the g2 pawn. And yeah, now you got to deal with the consequences here. So if the rook tries to defend the pawn, then we can go here. So we're guaranteed to win the pawn or trade rooks. Both are really good. I could imagine a world where we go here, we trade, takes, and then bishop here. Ah, but then just bishop here. Yeah. So we should be winning a piece at least. But yeah, we should be winning this pawn. There's really no way to defend it. The question is, can black stop the a pawn? And perhaps you can temporarily. But as soon as you drop this pawn, you're also threatening this check. And that bishop block can only defend you for so long. So this hits the rook. I would consider just going here. Here, and now that's a check. The knight's guarding this, so that's kind of clutch. But we'll see how long that lasts. Because the bishop saves itself from the knight, and now we can attack the knight, right? And okay, attacking it, this is even more efficient. That's one check. That's two checks. And now this is a major threat. This knight is just barely hanging around. Okay, so bishop here keeps the knight boxed out, and now the king has some space. Ooh, but that's a pin. Okay, yeah, I mean, you could have traded takes and then gone here, but it's all winning. So Jason pushes through to the win. We've got Joseph still playing Martin. Jason gets on the board. And I'm missing Yogi's game now. So I'm curious. Joseph is just on a rampage, dude. Joseph is crushing this Lviv team. So Joseph with the black pieces. Martin taking a ton of space on the queen side. Okay, and we see black gives up a knight and a dark squared bishop to win a pawn and a rook. Taking on e6 was needed here. We take on the corner. Knight check. And now rook takes e3. What a tactic. Wow, what a tactic. So yeah, white missed. He needed to trade on e6 first before trading, because now he gets tacticked on here. The idea is that the f pawn is overloaded. The knight's covering this. So in this check, you have to play... Oh, it doesn't even matter where you go, because the same tactic applies. So very nice move here from black to find this tactic. Yeah, just picks up an exchange. It's 2 rooks versus 2 knights, which is kind of funny. Yeah, this is just GG. Mate in 2 here, folks. Mate in 2. And there you have it. He's got no moves, so Martin dips below 3,000. Joseph improves to a perfect 3 out of 3. And I think I missed if Yogi played his game. Did Yogi play? Yogi played 2 games and lost both. Did he play game 3? I don't know. So that might have been a forfeit for Yogi. He should have played against Honi, Vladislav. It's the University of Virginia. And it's Lviv State University of Physical Culture, I think. Yeah, I don't see Honi versus Yogi. Yeah, I mean, Virginia has a very strong team. A lot of titled players, at least 3. I think 4 actually. They have another player that's not available today. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you have 3 players or 3 games played, but the 4th game they can't figure it out for some reason. So yeah, so this team alone that we're watching has an international master, a FIDE master, and a national master. But their board 4 seems to be missing now. Or I guess Yogi's there, but it's Lviv's board 3 that isn't playing. Yeah, I mean, Lviv has a strong team as well. We see Honi is a FIDE master. Their top board is a grandmaster who just lost their first game against Joseph, who's been crushing everyone. And they've got an international master, Daniel. Oh, so Owen won this game. So that makes the match 5-6 right now, actually. So very strong round from Virginia, trying to bring things back, but one game is missing, unfortunately. Yes, Lviv is in Ukraine. Well, yeah, I don't know. Virginia, they kind of started late, and now Lviv seems to be missing a player. Lviv. Well, my bad. I wish I could see their game chat, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting to hear from the players. Are they playing round 4 soon? I don't know. Luckily, I don't have another match to watch after this because this is taking a while. I know, Santos. Maybe I should start playing some games. Put me in there, coach. Just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna try my best to step in here and see if I can do something about this. Let me see. I'm not gonna play. I mean, yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me try. Let me try starting this game. I don't do this often, but I'm gonna try. 5. Okay, we have chess. We have chess, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. We've got a game. Oh man, this is gonna be such a long match. I hope it's not tied 8-8. That would be ridiculous. But Yogi has a chance to tie it up for Virginia with a win. But the question is, can they win? D4 played, black taking the space. We're threatening a check, leaving the king uncastled, but black could castle now, which they do. Although the computer preferred the move e5, which guards that check as well as connects this pawn. Anyways, we see a4 from white, perhaps going for a5. We see a6 hitting the knight. Knight comes back, looking for c4 with the tempo. We see this pawn push, and now the knight does go to c4. Bishop drops back to c7. We could see a5, but probably won't. We could see f4, a crazy move that probably isn't good. What else could we see? We could see the knight into c5. We do see a5. Okay, clamping down on the b pawn. Bishop develops with the tempo on the knight. Queen develops with the defense. So computer's favoring black. I think it likes this extra space. It likes the bishop pair. Rook from f to d8. And now knight to c5. Hitting the bishop, hitting the pawn. If you take this pawn, it's with tempo on the rook, but the rook maybe can come back. But this bishop or knight's defending the pawn. Maybe we see this trade just to play here. But maybe we see none of the above. We see d3 clearing the d4 square for the knight, which lands with a tempo on the queen. So giving up a pawn for piece activity. You don't want to go up because you'll get forked. So you go back, boxing out the knight. Takes, and now queen here. What did the computer like? It does like taking. This opens up the rook. Queen here. Just hitting the knight. We could see b4. There's no good knight check because the queen's guarding both. b4 played. Bishop now applying pressure. The computer says knight a4. I was considering knight back to d3. I guess it's not good because we're losing the c pawn. So black should be getting some material back. The question is how. So yes, here's how. The knight did go to d3, which I thought was good, but it turns out it wasn't so good. Now we could see one of these. Wait, no, we can't. The bishop's blocking the rook. So yeah, the computer preferred knight a4. Bishop takes, knight b6, rook here, and then just king h1. Interestingly. Yeah, and if we do that, knight d5. Okay. Nope. Oh, that's a big threat. And that's a big threat. Okay, wow. Okay. All right, I missed the vision. I'm sorry, Stockfish. But okay. So what did I miss? Yes, so knight back defending. Yeah, just dropping all of these. No matter where the rook goes, this is so brutal. Oh, but queen takes f7. Whoopsie daisies. I thought that was a fork, but it was not a fork. Nice attack here. So that was missed by both me and Honey. Rook takes, and now white's playing. You can take this with check. Bishop takes, and then rook g8. Or queen check. Now knight takes, queen takes. Although I would have maybe considered here, but okay. Queen takes. Rook. It likes trading, which I wouldn't personally want to do, but if you don't trade, this rook's coming down. So that is unpleasant. What else is there? He does trade. King steps up. It doesn't like that move though. Why? It likes this pawn push. So what did it want here? Queen f5? Just threatening like perpetual maybe? If the rook lifts. So the bishop comes out. This bishop comes in. This is a great outpost, by the way. So yeah, Honey is up in exchange. And yeah, there's not much. These pieces barely have anywhere to go. This knight is a key defender of f2. Queen here, and I mean, I don't even know if we can give up this knight. Because I'm pretty sure, oh, I guess maybe we do have a perpetual. I don't know. There's like rook here or queen here also. Makes a lot of sense. Trying to trade queens. White obviously trying to keep the queens on. Black obviously trying to trade them. So I would bring the queen maybe here. Pressure on the rook. We have a threat to take. Pawn push, and you should probably take this. And yeah, this king is going to get even more exposed. Unfortunately. G5 could have been played. Bishop here instead. Oh, there's queen takes. Queen takes. Because there's this huge fork. Oh, it was missed. And there goes the queen. No. Botez Gambit. He should have Botez Gambited to then Botez Gambit back. The counter Botez. But no, he totally missed that. That was a fork. That is so unfortunately unfortunate. And Yogi goes down to Vladislav Fishuk, who gets his second point and builds that 2-point lead for Lviv, which I've been told is actually Lviv, going into round 4. So big 2-point advantage for Lviv. Virginia needs a big comeback. They need to win at least 3 points to force 8 points in their score. 8.5 points is what's needed to win. If it's tied 8-8, we'll go to overtime, making this long match longer than it already is. However, Lviv only needs 1.5 points out of 4 to win this 4th round. So we have round 4 now underway. Can Lviv get the points that they need? Here we see the board 2s, 2 international masters. Joseph is a perfect 3 out of 3 so far. If he wins this, he'll sweep the Ukrainian team. and be a huge role in this this Virginia team. But let's check in on the board ones. We've got Owen against Martin. Martin, Grandmaster, only losing so far to Joseph. And yeah, Lviv, they just have 2 points out of 3 on their top 3 boards. 1 point from their board 4. And that round 1 forfeit from Owen. If Owen was there for that and it went the other way, it could very well be tied 6-6. So that forfeit game could very well likely be costly to this Virginia team. So it just goes to show you better arrive on time. Okay. Yeah, Honey is playing chessically inclined, which leads me to question if the 4th board is having trouble again. Stanislav and Yogi Man. So I don't know if they need my help or not. Which is kind of funny because we could watch these 3 games finish and then the 4th board's like, hey, can you help me start this out again? Anyways, all right, Jason's trying to trade off the light squared bishops. You don't want to go here because of this. You could go here, or here or here. But likely you could just take... Oh, I guess there was a4 as well. a4 was a good move. But okay, takes, rook takes. So you got to watch out for some of these little tempos. Knight here. Pressure on the pawns, just knight back, I guess. Oh yeah, pressure on this pawn, really. He was thinking about sacrificing, maybe bring the queen in. But the knight comes back to defend and just kind of cancels out this knight. White castles. Bishop develops. Black would also like to castle, it seems. We could see the queen come in. Knight here, attacking the pawn. Very interesting. Pawn push, saying, come right on in. If you do, king moves, and the knight's trapped. Might be worth it. All right, here's that tempo. White's cashing in. So the rook should move, or that attack should be blocked. Or black could sack the exchange, or just completely miss it, but no. Rook steps back. Jason decides to keep that rook on the board. He's resetting it in case he develops the knight and wants to castle queenside later. That is something that a lot of people forget about. When you put the rook back on its starting square, you can castle with it. That was a joke. I know, that's not real. You guys don't have to call me out on that. Listen, I'm the commissioner of the Collegiate Chess League. I can actually change the rules of the league. If Jason wants to castle that way, I'll allow it. The thing is, he doesn't want to. He will put the rook back. Also, I think chess.com wouldn't allow them to do that, unfortunately. I'd have to change the code in the system. But unfortunately, I don't know how to do that. Okay, I wish Yogi was in the chat or in the group. Maybe could figure this out. What is Yogi's Discord? This Yogi man. I don't want to bother them while they're playing either, unfortunately. Anyways, yeah, maybe that game won't be needed because maybe Lviv can get their 1.5 points before then. Let's see. I'm only watching 3 games. So Owen with the white pieces, he's down to 2 minutes versus 3 minutes against Grandmaster Martin. Martin is looking for their 3rd point. They're up a pawn currently. Let's see. Where did Owen give up his pawn? Right there. He gambited. He's gambited a pawn. And now here he's offering a trade, which is kind of interesting. Pawn takes, this knight's got to move. And I guess he didn't want to do that. Why not do that? What's wrong with taking here? Knight back to d7, knight a4. I mean, I don't know. I guess he didn't want those pawns all up in his space. So just develops the queen. Knight steps back. With a tempo. If you value your bishop, I guess you can't really save it. Here you get forked. So black says, fine, I'll attack your bishop. See how you like it. And this bishop could just go here, here, here. If it doesn't want the knight to take it. So bishop c1 is good. I guess technically the bishop could have gone to a3. And Martin is so strong, so high rated, that his game chat actually has an audience. So we've got the people of chess.com tuning in, weighing in, and it's always just it's like the Wild West of the internet, the chess.com top game chat. I would avoid it if possible. Okay, anyways. Yeah, it's always just endless entertainment, really. Okay, this move. I'm wondering if we can play f3. F3 at some point, perhaps. Okay, the bishop decides to fianchetto. Now, you really can't play f3 anymore because the knight will hop in with a fork. So that's not pleasant. I guess the knight would have just gone back. But all right, pawn push. Pressure on d4, opening up this bishop. So now if the knight comes back or this knight goes forward, then there's a lot of pressure on e4. Here, actually, we should probably take with a knight because now we can open up our queen to also aid in the attack on the e4 pawn. So black has 4 pieces trained on e5. It's pretty good. White only has 2. So we do see the knight trade. We could see a knight trade here. But you could also avoid the trade of knights and move our knight, perhaps, to f4. And maybe we're hopping into d5. Or sorry, yeah. d5 with the tempo. Also, we've opened up our rook. Pawn push. This is opening up the bishop. This is a gambit of the pawn. But bishop here, you're just attacking f2. But I guess we could block this. Yeah, with knight d4. Starting with knight d4, and the idea is actually to go to f5 with tempo. A fork, actually. So That would be a very strong move if allowed. We see g6 played instead. And now I'm wondering if we should just take c4. Black maybe could have started with taking on b3 with a little intermezzo. Probably should have. Because now I think white should take. Okay, they didn't do that. I think they're worried about the rook activity. I mean, the rook is going to get active anyways, right? So, okay, pawn push, really trying to distract and attack. This knight defending backwards, which is helpful. Something that you could potentially be worried about after this pawn push is how strong this bishop is. Wow, the bishop did not take c3. So that was a concern. And now f2, the computer really wants to take it. And they do. Wow. So after we take, I guess the knight's just coming in here. Knight to d3 seems very important. And now bishop takes is a move. Which pins the knight, actually. And the queen is unfortunately hanging. So you could take, and then queen takes. And you're in some pain because this is no longer defended. Because this is not defended. So you can just go ahead and take on it. Oh, the queen's defending now. But, I mean, it still doesn't help because it's two minor pieces. You have 3 seconds. 1 second. You decide to give up the queen. There's going to be a check. Yeah, we were too afraid, I think, of the c-pawn. Owen had ample opportunity to take and never did. This move, I mean, it's a little questionable. Okay. What is going on? This is no bueno. Rook in. Yeah, I would play bishop here. This guy's pinned now. You're just, yeah. Go here maybe. Okay, never mind. Oh my god, you guys, so brutal. Oh, it's mate. Owen goes down to Martin. Oh, and Honey beats Chessically Inclined, so that's huge. That's already the match. All right, so 3 points for Honey. Wow, and 3 points for Martin. So Chessically Inclined goes down, and looks like Joseph is also going to lose his first game of the match with the white pieces as well. Unless we see a catastrophe here. There should be a finishing move. Basically, it's just up a pawn. Joseph is fighting tooth and nail. Let's see. Does he have perpetual? King steps up. I would go queen here. No, but the problem is you're going to get like check. Oh, yeah, checkmate is also pretty good. Ouch. So it looks like a sweep of this round. Daniel adding on the points. Yeah, how Jason's game, he got mated. Yeah, look what happened. What went wrong here? We were watching this game. F pawn push, H pawn push, takes. So the problem is queen h5. Yeah. Jason got too greedy. Took the knight. Pawn takes. Yeah, this. Poor Jason. Okay, but let me ask them about. You can't challenge. Okay. What color? I guess he should have black. Yogi. This Yogi guy, huh? Let me check him out. He had white in the previous round. What's wrong with his colors? Or his okay, so Yogi had white and then black and then white, so you should have black again. This is board 4s going at it. Let's see if the okay. Yeah, I should have maybe just jumped in proactively, but anyways, I'm going to get food after this game. And then I'll be back at 3:30 Eastern to watch, I think, Michigan versus Macedonia. I don't know what division that is, but we'll check it out. But yeah, Lviv, they win this match pretty convincingly. So big points for them. And this last game still matters because of tie breaks. So at the end of the season, if there are any ties, they look at the match score, the cumulative match score of all the matches from all the teams. So, but also, I think Stanislav here probably wants to win anyways against the board 4. Yogi looking for their first points of the match still. And right now, it looks like Yogi has a good position. White just played their G-pawn. Black has a strong structure in the center. Yeah, white trying to hold on, but black just opening things up like a can of worms here. Bishop takes. That's a free pawn right there. Yeah. I think you probably should have played king h2. So yeah, maybe Stanislav just playing a little too fast. Maybe he wasn't ready to play this game. I don't know. But yeah, now king h2, but it's a little late. It's a little late trade off there as well. And yeah, now the queen is entering the equation. Maybe rook h1. But I mean the pawn push are just scary, so yeah, I don't know. Not a pleasant position for white. Yeah, this pawn push with the bishop coming in as well. It's going to be rough. So f3, one of the better moves that white had, but still conceding a lot. So queen just steps back, maintaining control of the g file. If the king ever goes here, there's a check. Bishop wants to come here now for sure. Although I guess there's this, but there's that. And oh my goodness. So you got to play f4 actually now to not allow that. And then the queen will just return back to f4. Ooh. Yeah, bishop here. Rook g1. Queen check. I don't know. It's going to be over soon. So Yogi, board 4, looking like they're going to get their first point of the match. Trying to help out Virginia's cumulative score overall. Yeah, very strong move. Here, okay, Queen H4. This is actually mate. GG. All right, Yogi on the board. Ending on a good note for Virginia. But yeah, that was a roughly 2-hour match. Didn't even have overtime. So we got to figure out what's going on with their board 4 was unable to get challenges going, which is weird because they started, I think, their first 2 rounds. But anyways, thank you all for being here, for watching. I'm going to find somebody to raid. So let's see who's on. Let's raid Asmoata. And I will be back in like an hour and a half or something. So I'll see you all then. Thank you guys. Take care.